Hello everyone and welcome back to another new album video. We're now on week 31 and this week we're taking a look at Knives Don't Have Your Back by Emily Haines and the Soft Skeleton. First released September 19th, 2006. Some notable tracks off this album include Crowd Surf Off a Cliff, The Lottery, Nothing Nowhere, and Dr. Blind. This is an album that I actually own on vinyl. I've owned it on vinyl for quite a while, but haven't just for some reason never got around to fully listening to it. I actually listened to it on vinyl and also listened to it on Apple Music recently. And Emily Haines, if you didn't know, is the lead singer from Metric. However, this album is a huge departure from what she usually does with Metric. Metric is definitely more like this is more almost like very acoustic sounding. Like it's a lot of pianos, a lot of strings and things like that. Metric is definitely more like alternative, more like electronic, if you will. So you can definitely see why she wanted to release this separately because it kind of does not stylistically fit with what she does in Metric. I have some notes here about it. We're going to go through the notes. Then we're going to get to the track list and all that as well. So let me grab my notes here. All right, so Emily Haines and the Soft Skeleton. Again, like we said, September 19th, 2006 is when this was released. This is the debut album from Emily Haines and this particular group. It's not her overall debut. I think, let me see. In 1996, she put out a collection of tracks called Cut in Half and also Double. Apparently it was very limited. It was like only released in Canada, and roughly only 2,000 copies of it were ever released. It's pretty rare. Like copies could go for like from what I was reading, for like usually like on the low end like $100, like kind of at least. I think they initially asked. Would have been before, like Napster and things like that. But songs from that album have been put up online. I think they initially asked that they don't, or they weren't, but people are just going to upload them anyway. So Cut in Half and also Double is basically her debut. Then they did then Metric, I think, released their first album. I want to say 2003 maybe. This came out in 2006, and this was also followed up, I think, by an EP called "What Is Free to a Good Home." I don't remember if I have that one or not. If I've listened to it, I might have it digitally, but I don't know if that was ever released on vinyl or not. And then in 2017, they did a follow-up called Choir of the Mind. I haven't listened to Choir of the Mind. Definitely one I should probably listen to at some point. I want to say I picked up this album, Knives Don't Have Your Back, maybe in like 2016 or 2017. Because my history with Metric, I think we covered Metric on this series already with Formentera 2, which I think was a very good album. But my first exposure to them was through the Scott Pilgrim soundtrack with Black Sheep. And then I think like Combat Baby off their first album, I think showed up in Rock Band 3. So around 2010, I kind of got really into them, kind of listened to like everything they had put out up to that point. And then kind of went to listen to other stuff. I got back into them in like around, I want to say 2016, because that was the first time I saw them live. So, and they were touring for Pagans in Vegas. Pagans in Vegas is not one of my favorite albums from them. I think it's kind of on their lower end. But saw them in 2016. Saw them again in 2019. Saw them again in 2022. And the last time I saw them, they were openers. I've seen them a total of 4 times, 3 times as a main act. And the most recent time was last summer when I saw them as an opening act for Garbage and Noel Gallagher. They played here recently this year, but wasn't able to get to that concert, unfortunately. So, seen them a total of 4 times. But Emily Haines and the Soft Skeleton is just like I said, a huge departure from kind of what she's done with Metric. So let me see here. She was talking about kind of like sneaking downstairs, like as a kid, to just like write songs on a piano, and a lot of the songs, like she didn't have the intention of people actually really listening to them at first, but then eventually decided to start recording some of them just so they wouldn't be just so she wouldn't totally forget them. I don't know if she's ever done any of these songs on this album or even any of her other work with the Soft Skeleton as like a tour or anything. Um, I don't know if any of these have like maybe like snuck into like a metric like set list here and there. That'd be interesting to see, but I don't know if any of that has actually happened. So occasionally she'll do music for this group, but she has gone on record and said basically music for Metric is like the number one priority. So like she's going to prioritize Metric over kind of like just her own kind of solo kind of stuff. It's very piano, like I mentioned earlier, very piano and string driven. It's very slowed down compared to just what she's done with Metric. Um, I don't like you. I think the genre for this is probably like the genre scope is indie. I don't like using. I said this before. I don't like using indie as a genre, like because I think there could be because it's like I think like if it's like indie rock or indie rap or indie hip hop or indie punk or whatever, I think indie is a perfectly good descriptor. Like it's indie rock because it's still the rock genre with indie kind of like um, production quality or production values, and maybe it's like indie instrumentalization, not a lot of overproduction. So I think indie's a fine genre descriptor, like a descriptor, but I don't like using it as a genre. So this is more to me like probably like slight, like almost like soft rock, maybe like very like soft rock slash alternative. Kind of like the way she sings on this record, like reminds me a lot of like how Lana Del Rey sings. Even though this album I think predates anything Lana Del Rey did by like at least 4 years with her first record, which was she was using her actual name on that one. That was like 2010. I think it got released and then immediately got pulled. But 2012 with like Born to Die, stuff like that. So the music on this kind of just reminds me of the singing style of Lana Del Rey, where it's very, I don't know if down tempo is the right description, but very kind of slowed down, very like the lyric, like she's singing somewhat quietly, kind of like that. That's kind of how I describe this album. It's kind of a hard album to kind of like put into a genre there. There's various guest musicians on this, including Scott Miner and various members of Broken Social Scene. Broken Social Scene is a member or a band that has just tons of different. I think they're all like Canadian artists, but a lot of people from Metric have been in that band. It's kind of like a band with just a huge like rotating roster. So members from Broken Social Broken Social Scene show up on this record. There's a really interesting quote. I'm actually going to read the quote about how she came about writing this album. So let me actually just pull that quote up really quick. All right, so the quote from Emily Haines about writing this album and kind of getting the music like out there eventually says, "quote: When I was a little kid, I would creep downstairs to the piano and write rudimentary songs about imaginary places. I'm told the first song I ever wrote was a love story to a cranberry tree. I also used the mute pedal. I hated the idea of anybody hearing me. Everywhere I've lived while working with Metric, I've written songs on the piano and played them for no one. On the advice of a friend, I decided I better start recording them before they were forgotten. 4 meandering years later, I ended up with this collection of songs featuring a few of my favorite people, a group I call the Soft Skeleton." So Soft Skeleton being kind of like her like band for this record. Basically just a very much like a side project, essentially, to where she'll do this music occasionally. Like I said, she's done 2 studio albums. This one, Choir of the Mind, and then the that EP, What Is Free to a Good Home. So probably, obviously, like I mentioned earlier, not really a priority, and it came out to pretty good reviews overall. Basically, was listed as one of the best. Considered one of the best albums of the 2006. Some review scores here. It sits at looks like a 73 out of 100 on Metacritic. AllMusic has it at 4 out of 5, 7.3 out of 10 from Pitchfork. Let's see. Stylist Magazine has it at a B plus. This is Fake DIY listed at 4 out of 5. Uncut Magazine has it at a 4 out of 5. And URB has it at a looks like a 9. Is that a 9 out of 10? It looks like a 9 out of 10. So overall, very good reviews. There is a slight difference in the version that I listen to on streaming and the vinyl. So the vinyl here has, I think it's, let me see, 11 tracks. The version on Apple Music also has 11 tracks, and there's actually, I think not the Canadian, the UK release and the Ireland release included 3 bonus tracks. Those bonus tracks are The Bank, Bottom of the World, and Spring. So we're going to go read off the tracks here. We're going to read off the complete track listing, which is off of the UK and Ireland version, and then we'll compare it to the vinyl version here. So it says the album is 43 minutes long. Let me actually pull up the version on Apple Music, because that's the one I listened to, and I'll let you know how long that is. Emily Haines. So it comes out at 11 tracks, 46 minutes on Apple Music. This one says 43 minutes. It's kind of weird, so I don't know which version they're using there, because I think the Apple Music version also only has 11 tracks. But anyway, roughly between either 43 and 45 minutes, depending on which version you're going to listen to. Track 1 is Our Hell. Track 2 is Dr. Blind. Track 3 is Crowd Surf Off a Cliff. Probably my favorite track on the album there. So that's track 3. Track 4 is Defective Daughter. Track 5 is The Lottery. Track 6 is The Maid Needs a Maid. Track 7 is Mostly Waving. Track 8 is, Reading in Bed. Track 9 is Nothing in Nowhere. Track 10 is The Last Page. Track 11 is Winning. Track 12 is The Bank. Track 13 is Bottom of the World. And track 14 is Spring. So it looks like the bonus tracks, like track 11 is Winning is where the album kind of ends here. So track 11. So then you have track 12, 13, and 14 being those bonus tracks. So I don't know if there's a way to get that digitally. I might have to look and see if I can maybe get an import copy or something, because I would definitely want to hear those bonus tracks. But the version that's available on Apple Music, the version that's available, or I don't know if it still is available, it's available on vinyl. Still a very solid album. I don't think those 3 bonus tracks would really sway my kind of my or of the album. I don't think it would make me like it any less necessarily. It'd probably just make me like it actually more. So I definitely need to go and try to track those extra songs down at some point, or just like I said, see if there's an import version I could get that somebody maybe already has. But overall, it's a very good album, a huge departure from what she's normally known for doing. But overall, a very solid, essentially soft pop, soft rock album. Like I said earlier, I don't like using indie as a genre, but as a descriptor, it's definitely very slight, indie rock to indie rock, indie soft rock, or indie pop, depending on, or some kind of a hybrid of those, I think. But overall, an excellent album. Kind of wish we did more of this kind of stuff, even though I think Metric, like you said, is her first priority. It'd be interesting to see her do more music like this. I definitely need to check out Choir of the Mind, because I think by the time when that was coming out is when I got this, and I just for some reason never got around to purchasing Choir of the Mind or listening to it. So I definitely need to go back and do that. But that is going to do it for this video. We'll be back again in a week with a whole new album. No idea what that's going to be just yet, but we'll be back in a week's time with that. Again, that's going to do it for now. So remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Thanks again for watching. Take care and have a good one. See ya.